Ada, listeners. This is Everything in Poderation, where your big sister, Daily, will guide you through the horrible world of sister complexes. I am an older sister, and therefore I'm horrified. Joining me today is...
Colin, and thank God I don't have a younger sister, so I don't get uber creeped out so easily by this subject matter. I will say that this particular episode is probably going to leave me feeling like I need a shower afterwards.
And I'm Robert. I'm recording this episode from the shower, actually. I'm preemptively prepared for how skeezy this podcast is going to feel. I think an alternate name for this episode, or maybe our whole show moving forward, can be, I can't believe this podcast is so weird.
Yeah. You know how we say the internet can be too much? Anime often falls within that purview. And this is definitely one of those examples of it just going a bit too far. Just a little bit over the line. And the line, I think, is clearly drawn when it comes to, hey, is incest okay?
Yeah, let's discuss. Say more.
Let's discuss.
Say more about that. Is incest okay?
Let's yeah, but it's an open discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say no.
Bold. That's very bold
of me to say it. I'll just come out and say no. Not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Opinions?
Oh God, where do I even start? Well, I will say the first thing that pops into my head is I really don't feel like this would be a genre. We could call this a genre.
The incest genre.
Yeah, wincest. Am I right? If the internet hadn't made it so prolific, I feel like the internet plays a big hand in the wide audience that this genre has.
I'm gonna push back on that because I think this is just Japan being weird about little sisters specifically. Because I know I've seen there are some anime from like the 80s and the 90s, before like Twitter, that definitely had a few, like, oh, I can't believe my sister's so cute kind of vibes.
Yeah, we had a sister princess, and it was just a harem anime, except they were all his sisters.
Oh, it's more than that. It started as an eroge, a dating sim eroge. Where you had a choice of little sisters, some blood related, some not, of course, to give you the flavor that you need to feel good.
Flavor, yeah, that's a good that's a good choice of words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there are even some versions of that game where there's like the same sister. The ending is you marry them, and there's the blood-related ending and the non-blood-related ending, as if that trait is malleable in the universe, I think, which as far as I'm an only child, but as far as I know, I don't think you can change the blood relation status between you and a sibling, right?
Yeah, bro, it's called alchemy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute.
Are Ed and Al blood related? Discuss.
Yes.
Okay.
Therefore, don't ship them.
Well, wait.
People
are they
anyway.
If Al doesn't have a body?
Al doesn't have blood.
Oh, there's no blood. There's no blood. They're free game. Free game. They can date if they want to. They can get married.
Free game. I mean,
there was an episode where Ed was inside Al, I think.
Okay. Moving on from this very quickly. Anyway, so I think in the West, I was discussing this earlier with Zach, in Western fiction, the moment that incest is mentioned outside of like a corny porn genre, it's like, that's gross, that's horrible, that's abuse. I mean, we have Game of Thrones, spoiler alert if you somehow avoided the fact that they're twins, Jaime and Cersei being two of some of the main characters, their illicit relationship and the children that they had together is kind of the big secret that kicks everything off in Game of Thrones, right?
Spoilers.
And sorry, I said spoilers, but that being a big source of disgust. Like, it's not until much later seasons that we're to look at them with any kind of sympathy for their incestuous relationship. But then we have, as we said in Japan, series that the entire onus is on the fact that, like, my little sister's so cute. I can't believe how cute my little sister is. She loves erotic games about dating your little sister, and we are totally blood related, and we live in the same house, and we're going to date and possibly get married one day.
They do. If
they
we're talking
do.
about,
they get married.
Yeah, Oreimo, they do.
So, Oreimo, the longer title being like literally, I can't believe my sister is this cute.
My little sister.
My little sister, because it's a younger sister. The two main characters, they're blood related. They've lived in the same house all their lives. And then one day he discovers that she has a thing for like sister complexes. And it's a light novel series that then got turned into an anime and an eroge, I believe.
I can't confirm the eroge, but I know. So the light novel, right? That is blood related for sure. I think in the anime, right? They bad phrasing. They pull out at the last second and do the whole step.
What was that Robert Scarpanito quote about pull-out game being weak?
Pull-out game strong?
Pull-out game strong. Sorry,
so
weak.
Strong it causes fire?
Yes.
Yeah, and in the eroge game, they're step-siblings, but they have a romantic relationship, and then in the anime, it's strictly platonic by the end.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. So like we have the joke, like we've made the like stepbrother joke in this podcast before for sure, and it's always in jest. It's never a it's totally acceptable for siblings, blood related or not, to engage in sexual acts together. I think that's kind of firmly under the abusive umbrella, I'm going to venture to say. But Oreimo and then its spiritual successor, Eromanga-sensei, are like very lighthearted, fun stories where it's like it's the navigating the relationship between the brother and the sister is like very slapstick and fun and romantic even. And it bothers me a lot as an older sister to a younger sister. No one ship me with my sister, please, because you have to say that in this day.
Too late. Too late.
It's already happened.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. It is so weird, and because when you think about it here in America, right? Like you said, Daly, it's kind of the most okay in porn, weirdly enough, right? Like that's a whole genre in porn. Not that it is okay, but that's like where it feels the least taboo. But when you say it in a real life setting, like, oh, I heard that person married their cousin or their brother or sister, right? You immediately think of Alabama. Sorry, Alabama. Sorry, Alabama.
To the entire state of Alabama, but that is the joke. That's the joke.
Yeah, Roll Tide and all that. And so I think it says a lot that here at least in America, right, that it immediately is a gross out concept when it's in real life, right? And I want to be clear that in Japan, as far as I'm aware and know, it's not like real life people in Japan are just fucking their brothers and sisters left and right. That is super not the case.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's unless there's just a huge underground ring of it, which I don't know, and I doubt it.
We're busting this story wide open, guys. Investigative journalists.
Yeah, but it's super prolific in anime, right? Like you don't even need to go to a show that is blatantly like, I can't believe my sister is this cute, right? Like you can go to shows like Higurashi, that slice of life horror thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just a casual line in there where Mion, who has a twin sister, right? So it's two sisters, twins, where there's one line where Mion says, if my twin sister were a dude, I would totally date them. And it's like, and that's just a casual joke. And in my mind, I'm like, is that funny? Is that I don't know. I really
Was
don't.
that
Are
a
they being
compliment to
self-aware?
oneself? Like,
Yeah.
I would date me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so odd that like that sort of stuff it just rolls off the tongue in anime, right? Where it's to the point where you don't need to watch a siscon show to find hints of incest.
Yeah. Like my first foray, I hate this sentence already. My first encounter.
Go ahead, no, keep going.
Let's go with encounter with incest in manga. I read this series which I now retroactively hate. Oh, what was it called? It was like I can't remember what it's called. I'll link it, but I won't link it, but I'll mention it below in the description. It was about a girl who fell in love with her childhood best friend. Go figure. It was a shoujo, but at the same time, her brother, who was adopted, but like adopted as a baby, it was just like, we're not blood related, so it's okay, is like super head over heels for her, in love with her, and eventually becomes a monk in order to avoid his feelings for her.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's pretty weird, but it came to a conclusion that seemed like non-problematic until later. I also realized that there was like another version where it's like, no, she could have ended up with her brother.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's
Yikes.
like I don't know. I can't speak to this from experience because I don't have siblings, right? But I feel like there's something deeply troubling about thinking if I don't change my life, give up my belongings, and become a monk, I'm gonna try to fuck my stepsister. You know, like that seems like a really big life-changing choice to make to control yourself, I guess.
Yeah. I see the jokes happen a lot in anime where it's like, wow, my little sister's really cute. Or like, look how cute my little sister is. And that can be innocent to an extent, but where it's like, I don't know if I can control myself around my little sister. That's scary and questionable.
Yeah, like as soon as you put it into those scenarios in the context of real life, it's like, no, that's just kind of creepy. And it sounds rather dysfunctional in the family. And yeah, and it kind of goes along with the how in anime and manga oftentimes they just make a lot of the women characters, especially in slice of life anime, just overly cutesy. Like they go out of their way to just make them hyper feminine, overly cutesy, unless they're like a tsundere type deal, or something like that.
Or even like the little sister that idolizes Oni-chan.
Yeah. And so I will say too that it's like, is there something sort of anti-feminist, but misogynistic about it? That it's, yeah, that's the kind of question I would ask and put on the table.
Yes.
I'm putting a yes on this, okay? Because I've been thinking about this for a while now. Because I've like in the past few months, I've been watching more anime. Like I go in waves or just times where I don't watch as much anime, and then I get back into it and just watch a bunch. And I couldn't help but notice that this is a trope. I'm sure you've seen an anime do this. It's the boys and girls. They go to the hot springs or the beach or the place with many water. And then there's an area where it's only the girls hanging out in their bikinis and or naked and or with just a towel. And then there's another area where it's all the dudes, probably with a towel or swimming trunks. And it always fucking goes to, hey, what if we peeped? Which is like, why? You know, why? Why is that like the thing? Why is that like it
let's betray our friends' trust and look at them unknowingly while they're naked real quick.
Right. And then they always get caught and it's always played for laughs. And like, you know, and in some ways, okay, it's kind of funny. But then when you see it like the 20 millionth time, it's like, why is this such an ingrained part of Japanese anime? And my mind just kind of keeps going to, oh yeah, I guess women aren't quite equal to men in Japan. I mean, really all around the world, unfortunately, but in Japan a lot, right? Like how women are still fighting for like maternity leave rights, and that's like a controversial thing. I mean, in Japan especially. And it's, I don't know, that to me is like weirdly linked to, okay, so if every woman is seen as, I can't wait to peep on them when they're showering, does that desire override the my little sister who I want to protect as a little sister is also a woman who I want to peep on in the shower? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it becomes more women as objects versus women as people.
Yeah.
And I've come to accept over, because of the anime that I watch, I do like really cutesy anime. And so oftentimes women don't act like real people in those anime. They act like anime characters. But I have the cognizance to separate fiction from reality. So I know like no actual woman acts like this. No little sister is like, oh my God, I want to marry my big brother one day. Like maybe when you're 4 and you don't really have like a concept of that, but not when you're like 15, as I think she's like 15, 16 in Oreimo, something like that.
I think so.
Younger, because she's graduated at the end of the series. Which I haven't watched all the way, but I read a lot of episode descriptions because I wanted to get a better understanding about like how incesty is this. She's graduating from middle school and he's graduating from high school when they get married, not married, depending on the official author interpretation of this is that no, they're really married and they're really like fucking at the end of it. Good. Whereas in the anime, they're like, no, they're just regular brother and sister now, I swear. They decided to call it quits after they repaired their relationship.
I mean, what do you even start? I mean, I don't know, man. This is just such a, I mean, it gets into the whole topic of general, like daily set objectification in anime in general, which is just an overarching issue in anime still to this day. I mean, they're getting better at having more like strong female characters or even female MCs and stuff like that. That aren't so much objectified, but even then, like even a lot of those animes, they tend to be just objectified because it's a classic marketing of like sex sells sort of thing. It just, they have no incentive to stop doing it in the Japanese market. And
Tsukasa Fushimi, who was the author of the Oreimo light novel series, he credits his editor for originally being like, you should do something about like a brother sister, like people like that. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll do that. And then following the success, and it was like a huge commercial success, and that's what brought me to this subject because it is so, like, there was a train wrap, you know, like in Japan when they put like the anime on the side of the train, like Oreimo had its own train wrap. I can't believe my little sister's this cute was just staring at people while they were commuting to work on their every day. But so he, after Oreimo, he wrote Eromanga-sensei, which was even more erotic. Maybe you can tell from the title. And it was, but they're not blood related, so it's okay. But it's a brother and the sister living in the same house. The sister draws erotic images for the brother's erotic light novels. And he's like really obsessed with her because she's like super cute and shy and doesn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah. And sometimes I have to remind myself too, is just like in Japan, right? Like there are definitely, obviously there's plenty of people that are big into like anime and manga, but it's not as like widespread and is like socially accepted as you would think in Japan. Like you just ask the random person on the street in Japan, they might have seen like an anime or two, like big ones.
Everyone's read One Piece. Yep. That's required reading for the entire country.
I guess so.
Yep. It's part of the Japanese citizenship test, which is why no one passes it.
Yes.
You have to have read it all, caught up with the anime. It's a tall order.
Yeah, but my thought process here is, I wonder what those people that are just like either casual fans or not really fans at all that live in Japan, that they see something like that and it's like, dude, You know, like that. Like even people in Japan have to be like, come on, guys, like the fuck.
It's funny you say that, Colin, because a plot point in Oreimo is in episode 3, after the brother has discovered the erogays that his sister loves. The parents discover one of the games and is like, what is this filth? This is disgusting. Like, look at this little girl. And the older brother has to be like, oh, it's mine, in order to protect the little sister. And he gets fucking punched in the face by the dad over it.
Yeah,
it's
child
like,
abuse.
And it's not even like a haha, like kablam, and then he flies. It's like he gets fucking punched in the face and is like, you're disgusting. I'm disappointed in you. It's like played off pretty seriously. And that's like part of the plot is that, you know, she's really ashamed of her obsession with these sister complex storylines in anime, and she's hiding it until she can find like other people that are also into it.
And she does, if I remember right?
She does. She finds a lot of people.
Yeah, and it kind of becomes this weird harem thing, right? Which,
at one point there's like several viable I say viable choices in the language of an eroge. There's several viable choices of girls that the main character brother can date that are met typically through they're also otakus of some sort, like his sister. But in like the good ending, you know, the author's true vision is that he dumps everyone and rejects everyone in order to be with his sister.
Right, the correct choice, the optimal choice,
the good choice, good ending.
Yeah, incest is such a weird fucking topic for obvious uncomfortability reasons, but like in the sense that when you have like a real life story where you do have something where like two people are blood related, but they're both consenting adults, right? And they end up getting like, part of me is just like, yes, on a moral level, that's fucked up. But at the same time, like, they're two consenting adults, right?
Yeah, like from a legal perspective.
Yeah. So like, is that, I mean, like, I'm not okay with that on a moral sensibility, but at the same time, if they're two consenting adults and that's what they choose to do, like, who are we really to tell them, like, no,
what they're allowed to do?
Yeah, like,
in none of I have a little list of these anime here that have sister complex elements to them. We have, you know, Oreimo, Eromanga-sensei, No Game No Life, Sword Art Online, Citrus, which is just straight up just stepsister, Candy Boy, which is twincest. No one's an adult in these. There's no adults. Everyone's like high school or middle school aged.
That's worse.
Yeah, and Oreimo is arguably real bad because the dude is like graduating high school, right?
So he's like 18 and she's like 14.
Right. So that's an adult with a child, and then they're also blood related.
Yeah.
And I already thought it was weird because I had people that I went to school with in middle school that like I knew a girl who was dating an 18-year-old at 14. And that even without the whole context of incest, it's already fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a maturity gap there that's pretty significant.
Yeah. I'll always argue that like 18 to 14 is fucked. But like 18 to 22 is way different.
Well, yeah, because I mean, people are still developing in the younger ages, right?
Right.
I mean, people are still developing at 18 too, but yeah.
Yeah, it gets really, really messy.
We should ban dating until you're in your 20s.
No dating until you're 44.
No dating until... There we go. 44. Let's just make sure everyone's got their lives established. They're totally stable. They've got their own shit figured out. Then you can date.
Yep. Including your brother and sister.
Yeah. I mean, then you're a consenting adult. Then you can, you know, figure out what your priorities are and whether or not it's to keep it in the family.
Yep.
I'm just really family minded, you know. I just really want to, keep those bonds strong.
It's all about family.
What is this? It's like the fucking Dark Ages, man. Back when they would like arrange marriages within the family to keep the bloodline.
You know, what would Dom Toretto think of this?
Oh, fuck.
Family. There's nothing stronger than family, guys.
Yeah.
I can never, no, I can never look at that series the same ever again.
So
it's
that's
ruined.
our episode title now. There's nothing stronger than family.
There's nothing stronger than family.
Hey, there's one of those movies that takes place in Japan, just saying.
Tokyo Drift into your family.
drifted into incest.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not the title of this episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think it's because I've been watching anime for so long, right? That there is this weird part of me. There was a good time frame where I was almost like calloused to it. It was like
desensitized.
Just another Imouto complex, another siscon, whatever. But now, like in the past year or so, it's definitely been like, man, this is definitely a weird thing. And I'm glad that we're not in an age where like there's a ton of Oreimo clones. Like I think Eromanga-sensei is like the last really big one I can think of. And now it's like there are shows with elements of siscon, but it's not like the show is based on siscon. I can't think of that many from like the past few years, but I do think it's clouded it enough where I remember when I was watching Demon Slayer for the first time, there's that arc where Tanjiro meets the doctor demon lady, right? And the doctor demon lady's apprentice called Tanjiro's little sister ugly. And there was this, he was like weirdly adamant about like, no, my little sister's beautiful. You can shut the fuck up.
She was the beauty of our town, our village.
Yeah. And there was a part of me that was worried like, oh no, is this also,
no.
I want to save my little sister because she's so cute? Is this what's happening now? And I really got worried about that. And I think it's shifted to now it's like Zenitsu who's lusting after the little sister, which
they're not related. It's okay.
They're not related. So from that aspect, it's okay. But it still does have that little bit of like misogyny vibes that we talked about earlier of like,
oh yeah,
she's a girl. So that's all she's good for is being cute. Right.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit more excusable due to the setting and the time period, because yes, like Japan was very misogynistic at that point in their history, especially, right? But they still play off Nezuko's character as very like powerful, and like they use her as comedic relief a little bit. But like, I mean, they definitely are like getting into the whole like, oh, ultra cute, almost chibi-esque sister need to protect at all costs.
She is super chibi.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally made it so that she could make herself small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Sure.
Yeah.
I guess if that sells, I suppose.
Yeah. I love Tanjiro and Nezuko's relationship because it actually seems like a real life sibling relationship.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to like these weird imagined relationships that I wonder if Tsukasa Fushimi has a sister, because there was a fake article, but I loved it. It was totally fake, but it was like Fushimi's sister is no longer on speaking terms with him.
Oh no.
And it was like, he just keeps saying, it's fiction, but I just can't, I can't come to accept what he's written. And it seems like I'm looking back on our childhood and realizing things, and I'm really uncomfortable with it. And although I realized it was a fake article, but I can totally see, like, what if your older brother starts writing stuff like that? You're going to be like, that's weird, dude.
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, because there are good examples of like sibling relationships. What we just talked about in Demon Slayer, and then like one of my favorite anime, Umaru-chan. Like literally, it's just about like my little sister is spoiled. She's secretly an otaku. She came to live with me. Nothing pervy happens at all in that series.
Yeah, isn't it like a wholesome?
It's
show?
Very wholesome. It's very like actual sibling relationship. I appreciate it for what it is. There was a part of me that was afraid because the way I found that series was after I had watched Nichijou, I was looking for another like kind of slapstick, fun, cutesy anime. And the first one I came across was Oreimo.
Oh, no.
And I started watching that and I was like, what did I stumble upon? Why is this? I feel like this should have been on a different part of the internet, like something that I had to confirm my age for. But no, it's just there on Crunchyroll for anyone to find.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just such a weird rabbit hole, right? And I think too, I haven't seen the show, but I've read the synopsis of it, and I always think of it as like, to me, it feels like, you know, when you read something and you're like, that has to be satire, but like, unfortunately not, it's real life. That's how I feel about Domestic Girlfriend. Are either of you two familiar with this show, manga?
Is this the same thing as like Rent-A-Girlfriend?
No, that's different. And there's no little sister energy in that, thank God. So that Rental Girlfriend is just, I mean, it's Blue Balls, the anime, from my understanding of it. But so Domestic Girlfriend is, again, haven't read it, haven't watched it, just know the synopsis. And I know the OP is a banger because I really do like that song. And I know everyone hated the anime. So the story is a dude wants to lose his virginity. Cool, checks out, whatever. And he meets a girl, they sleep together. Cool, right? Whatever. But he's also in love with some other girl. I forget his exact relationship to her prior to the big reveal. And then it's revealed that his dad, who was divorced, is now going to marry a new wife. And the wife has two daughters. One is the girl he really likes, and the other is the girl he just lost his virginity to. So he just fucked his stepsister and then is in love with his other stepsister. And they all live together under the same roof, under one big happy family. And I'm saying all this, and I think that is sad. That has to be parody. That has to be a joke, right?
That does sound like, it sounds like a porn parody where like,
right?
Stepbrother, like that's the joke, right?
Yeah, but it's, from my understanding, it's played pretty straight. I know the manga ends horribly, but for the most part, it's like, yeah, it's all kind of, yep, just trying to bang his stepsisters, and it's like, that's real weird.
I mean, I don't know. It also, the whole stepsister thing, it doesn't help by the fact either that it's just taken over pornography. The whole stepsister thing in general. Step siblings are just fetishized to the high heavens now.
I believe it was like a survey that Pornhub always does, and it's like #1 searched for whatever, and it was like step sister or step brother or step sibling. Why? Is it the taboo of it? Is it because it's like it's incest but not?
It's partially that, and also in terms of like scenarios that porn companies can come up with, it's just super easy and cheap to do, to like throw a storyline in any porn art. Like, you can literally just tell your actors, like, you don't need any additional set dressing, you don't need any additional writing. You're like, yeah, just call each other stepbrother and stepsister, and that's it.
I got stuck in the washer. Help.
Yeah. I can't boil water.
Where's the water?
I don't know. To the table. Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so weird because I've always thought of it as like, okay, so the reason you like it is because you understand that if it was just your sister, that's taboo. But if you add the step in, now it's okay. It's like trying to make something taboo not taboo, even though you fully know it's taboo, right?
Well, the stepsister thing can get a little blurry, right? Because it's like, if it's like, you know, it's later in life, right? And you're already an adult, and then your parent marries somebody else, and then like things happen from there. I feel like that's like, okay, you didn't ask to be put in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. And that's still like two non-blood related people. And you might not even like live with them.
I feel like I've seen like r/relationship advice about that, where it's like my dad got remarried, daughter is the same age as me, we actually knew each other from college or whatever, and we kind of hit it off. Would that be weird if I pursued that? And it's like, yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
There would be a little bit of weirdness there, but I feel like it's a very like situation by situation sort of thing.
But I'm not going to be like, you fucking pervert.
Yeah, it's
in
just
that kind of situation.
Yeah, it's so different from the Oreimo type, which is they're fucking, going to school together, right? And like,
yeah,
they're trying to fuck.
It's like, I remember when you were born.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
I remember when you were just in mom's tummy. Our mom, because we share mom, because we're blood related.
I'd like to remind you every time.
Have to accentuate that point.
Every time. Let me just, because that's part of the thing with the siscon stuff in anime, because everyone just calls each other by their familial names. So you're always like Oni-chan or One-san or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that weirdly adds to like the weird moe fetishization of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it does go both ways too, right? Like I've seen I know it's not as popular as the Imouto, but I feel like I've seen enough like big sister, older sister types.
Oh, certainly.
Right? Like the Ara thing is so like
Ara.
Like that's so tied to the older sister that I want to fuck,
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see that where they're always big chesty older sisters that are like, oh, my rascally younger brother, hug. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but it's like, it exists. It exists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's always like, older sister, help me study, and then sex happens for some reason.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. It's always the equation. You try to study, sex is gonna happen. Just keep that in mind, kids.
Mm-hmm. Never study.
Stay in school.
No, don't go to school. Never study.
Wait, are we trying to keep kids from having sex, or are we trying to make them want to study more?
We have a lot of mixed
what are we
messaging
encouraging
going on here.
Man.
Safe sex. Just, yeah, there.
Safe sex with a non-blood related person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they have blood, don't sex them.
Yeah. In fact, if you're even if you somehow find yourself in that, still wear protection, have protection. I don't, listen.
I guess if you're gonna do it,
we can't control people. But I'm telling you right now, for reasons, it's better just to be protected in general.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your use a VPN. Keep your safe search on. Incognito mode, etc. If you're going to be reading Eromanga-sensei,
yes,
man,
we want endpoint. You want endpoint security, managed firewall, antivirus.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your arms in the ride at all times. Fasten your seatbelt.
Guys, I read about this shit too much for work. It's seeping into the podcast now.
Oh no. But as I sense we're coming to a conclusion here, I do want to kind of pose the question, because the reason why I wanted to talk about the Imouto kink in the first place is because I know you guys have heard of it, because I know that it's starting to appear in mainstream anime. Eromanga-sensei, I did a podcast when that first came out, totally different podcast. I've been podcasting for a while now, about like how weird moe kinks are starting to become more mainstream, to the point that it's just like, weird. Is it becoming normalized? And I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you think that we're seeing this trend toward like the very moe stuff becoming more normalized in mainstream anime? Because there was a sister thing in Sword Art Online, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Where it was like she became like suddenly it's Kirito, right? I've never watched it, but Kirito, main character, has in the second season, it's like, did you know he has a younger sister and she's like obsessed with him?
Yeah.
Just by the way, in this very mainstream anime.
I feel like if it's to the point where we can satirize it, it's probably already pretty mainstream. And as long as it sells, as long as people watch stuff like that, they're going to continue to do some sort of version. of it. It might get a little less prolific, and I think it has been like sort of slowly declining based on the article that Daily recommended reading. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Links below.
I think it's all like, I mean, it comes back to what sells, right? So, I mean, if people are making money, they're probably not going to stop writing stuff like that. As long as there's people that are willing to write stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And just in general, like as I get older, I'm noticing like there's just some tropes in anime that I'm really not gelling with as much as I used to. And it's not that I super liked them when I was younger. It was more that I just didn't think about it as much, right?
Yeah. You don't think about the consequences of that.
Right. And I think the Imouto kink is just one of them among, frankly, quite a few. Not that, I'm trying to chastise all of anime or anything like that, because I mean, obviously there's some pretty good ones out there, right? But let's just say the older I grow and the more anime I watch, the less surprised I am that there are a lot of bigoted internet comments with anime avatars on Twitter. Let's just say I see a link there.
There's a pipe. What were we talking about in the last episode? We were saying the
TV
pipeline.
to Tumblr pipeline.
Yeah, so there's a anime to misogyny pipeline.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because light spoilers for like 86, right? I was watching that recently, catching up with it because I was like huge last season, and it's the show where the first few episodes really grabbed me because it's like, whoa, there's a lot of commentary on like race, segregation, classism, elitism, military, fucking peasantry versus kings and all of that shit. And then in the 4th episode or 5th episode, there's a fucking beach scene where the guys are peeping on the girls. And I'm like, did this have to? Did we need this?
Yeah.
Yes. It's required. It's in the contract. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and I think too that we're going to get even more and more light shown on things like this because anime is just huge now. Like anime is everywhere. Like even 5 years ago, it was already getting extremely popular. 10 years ago, but now it's mainstream here, more or less. You know, I mean, what was it? Mugen Train was like one of the biggest, I think, the biggest anime movie opening in the U.S. ever. Yeah, ever. And so like it's only going to get bigger here, and I think these issues are only going to be talked about more and more. I wonder then too that as the Western audience for anime grows, that people in that audience have like a bigger say on the type of content they would like to see. Therefore, we do start to see a little bit more of like of a diversification and a little bit more of a drop off, I should say, on anime tropes like the ones we were just discussing.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I think it's either where I'm at. I think it's either going to become anime is going to take in mind more Western attitudes towards certain tropes and like fetishes, basically, or we're just going to absorb that as anime viewers. Anime can do no wrong,
right?
And be like, no, it's all the extra lolly stuff is, it's just anime. It's just what they do.
And I mean, when I think about animes too that are extremely popular over here, right? Like Demon Slayer is huge right now, of course. Attack on Titan's big. Historically, DBZ, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, Makoto Shinkai's films have been really, really popular, as well as Ghibli. None of those are like there is certainly objectification of women in a lot of those, more specifically on the anime side. Not so much in Ghibli, actually. I feel like there's not a whole lot of objectification happening there.
Over Miyazaki's dead body.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I feel like the anime that tends to get popular over here aren't the ones that necessarily adhere to a lot of those tropes around like being overly cutesy or like heavily objectifying women or getting into like the whole fetish thing. It tends to be like, obviously there's the anime tropes that come with like shonen manga shonen manga and anime, etc., but not so much around the like overly cutesy, like because I mean, when Cowboy Bebop and Berserk and other things like that get popular over here, like they just don't have a lot of those characteristics. I've noticed. Like
Attack on Titan, yeah. I mean, Attack on Titan could have gone that way, right? Because there's like,
my gosh,
Eren Mikasa, right?
Yeah, they easily.
Yeah, but it didn't. Instead, Eren just kind of grows to be a murderer, which cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that he's oblivious toward like the whole Mikasa being like obsessed with him thing throughout it, because it's very in his character.
Yeah, and exactly, and I think that's the interesting thing about Attack on Titan specifically is like there are so many times in which it could have like leaned into going into like an anime trope direction, but it very much subverts expectations in that way. Where, because like the first, I don't know, for me at least, the first 2 seasons, very like we talked about in our episode about it, like very much led me to believe like, oh, this is going to be just a shonen. Like I was like thinking that Eren's going to get he's like, Eren's a shonen anime MC and he's going to get super strong and kill the Titans, and then he's going to become a Titan and get stronger as a Titan and kill other Titans, which kind of isn't wrong, but it's a completely different context than what I assumed it would be.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. In some ways I do miss the younger days of like, I remember reading the big 3, and it's like, I mean, I think of Fairy Tail is a really good example of this, where there are so many moments where it's like the main character is trying to be shipped with a girl, right? And usually that girl's pretty objectified. Like if you read Fairy Tail, the longer you read it, the more you realize like all the women in there get fucking drawn with like curvier and curvier with bigger boobs and all that shit. But
yeah,
the main character is always super fucking stupid when it comes to romance. Like Naruto, like, I mean, we always joke about how there's no way we believe that he's dating Hinata, right? Same with Bleach. It's like Ichigo is super, like, I wouldn't say he's asexual or aromantic, but it's like that.
I would say Luffy is.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, I kind of miss that, where it's like, it's just a show about the adventure, right? And it's just kind of dumb and stupid.
My favorite thing in Dragon Ball Z was just like, Goku just kind of ended up with Chi-Chi and they somehow had kids, even though Goku actually seems like he doesn't even know what a penis is.
Yeah, they make fun of it all the time in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, right? Where it's like, he just doesn't know what sex is.
Yeah. I mean, in the show, in the canon, I forget when it was, but it was at some point, like, Trunks and someone kiss, and he's like, what the hell was that? What did you just do? And Vegeta's like, do you never do that with Chi-Chi? And he's like, no.
And now we know why Chi-Chi's just angry all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just...
They just don't kiss. They do everything else, but they don't kiss.
Well, kissing's gross. It's gross.
Kissing, that's too gross.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's weird, right? That just... It's... When I think about, like, romance anime, it's hard to find ones that are, like, really good, and the ones that are really good are exceptional. It's just they obviously don't grow to the popularity or to the they don't get as much of the share in the mainstream, I would say, as something like Oreimo or Eromanga-sensei.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my personal taste goes, like, even when an anime, like a lot of slice of life anime usually has like a character or two that's just completely overly cutesy, right? And they're just there to be like, oh, like, look at me, I'm adorable, or they're maybe probably there to sell merch or something. I don't know. But like those, for me personally, those characters tend to like be a big turnoff from a lot of those anime, because it's like, oh my God, I have to hear this for like at least a couple minutes every episode. Right. And it's like that it just annoys me. And it's like, it doesn't do anything for me at all. From just like just an enjoyment perspective.
Right.
Yeah. And whereas the authors know that there are some viewers that are like, that's what they're there for.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, and I've thought about it a little more, actually. I think I want to take that back. I do think that romance anime is kind of like, I think it's big enough in the past few years, right? Where like you think it's the more straightforward ones like Clannad or, I mean, Horimiya recently. Yeah, Fruits Basket, Your Lie in April, right? Like, yeah, okay, so there's enough like good, more straightforward romance anime that doesn't have to be like, and I'm gonna fuck my little sister kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just it's a shame to see that things like Oreimo are also like popular enough to get train wraps.
Yep. That's when you know you've succeeded.
Yeah.
When you're on the side of a train.
I mean, the other side of the argument too, right, is like there's something to be said about doing something that's like kind of taboo in order to make your thing stick out. Poor choice of wording.
Yeah.
Yeah. What thing is this that we're talking about?
Right, exactly. No, but you know what I'm saying? Just as like, you know, maybe at the time, right, it must have been at least pretty unique, right? It's like this weird thing, and it's like we're reading of this because it's just curiosity, maybe.
Yeah, in that article linked below, Fushimi Sensei, I dare call him a sensei, but he was basically like, no, his editor was like, nah, that'll be interesting, like play that up, play up the sister thing. I think people would be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I think we can find solace. And I do think, in the grand scheme of things, everything we've talked about in today's episode is like, you have to be in the anime community for a little while to have brushed up on a lot of this. Like,
True.
You may not be a big siscon person, which, congratulations, good for you. Please don't ever become one. But you will have seen enough of it, I think, in the anime zeitgeist, whereas from the outside looking in, I think most people see anime as big muscle punches with energy blasts and cute characters. I feel like those are the two big prevailing outward facing archetypes. I don't think as many people would know looking at anime like, oh, everyone who likes anime is a bunch of siscons.
Yeah.
Or it's us. I mean, also people that are like, when they meet like an anime fan or whatever, like, oh, just hentai, right? Like, it's like always straight to hentai.
So tentacles.
I've definitely seen some of those people. Yeah, they just go straight for hentai and tentacles and like just completely bypass everything else like shonen. Just like, but like tentacles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
there's definitely like a Venn diagram of people that are into like mainstream anime and then people that are into like weird ass anime. That totally overlaps. But I don't want to, and I don't think that even in the future that the moe fetishized stuff is going to become the face of anime. I think it's still going to be like big bombastic action series like Demon Slayer that are going to more represent the anime industry as a whole. And then you just kind of come to maybe not accept, but acknowledge that there's that other part where people are into weird things, and those things can even get serialized from a light novel to an anime.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that speaks a lot to oh man, I'm forgetting the name of that writer right now. I think Chuck Dixon, maybe. He recently
Tingle? Chuck Tingle?
No, not Tingle. One of the he's a Western comic writer. He wrote a lot of stuff with Batman. He helped create Bane, Big Muscle Man. But he recently said something about how manga is just eating comics lunch, as in like eating Marvel and DC's lunch. And one of his main arguments is that Marvel and DC is just superheroes with a different cape, whereas manga is everything, right?
Everything.
And I think that speaks to it because the shonen I think is the closest to like superhero, right? Like that's your typical, there's fighting and struggles like that, but then you can go to romance and you can go to sports, then you can go to little sisters, right? And it's because manga is so diverse that you finally will see the people who would gravitate to the little sister shit and then realize, oh, there are more people who like this than I thought.
Yep.
It's like, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah,
they sure did.
Sure did. I will, but seriously though, to that end, to what Robert was saying, to say something a little bit more positively, that's the great thing about manga and anime is there's just so much of it that there really is something for everyone, if you know where to look.
There's a little something for everyone.
Yeah,
for better or for worse. And I will say too that manga and anime also do things that other mediums just simply don't do, or do it in a way like action, for example. There's nothing like action in a shonen anime and Western animation just quite the way they do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only place you're going to really get that. Maybe Avatar: The Last Airbender was the closest that we ever got on the Western front. But
would you believe that was heavily anime inspired?
Who'd have thought? Oh, you're going to piss off someone in the comments, Daily.
Yeah, Avatar is anime, right, guys?
That's
okay. On that debate, let's end the podcast. Let's just end that. Let's just have that be all the comments below. Is Avatar an anime? You tell us. We'll discuss in the next episode. Thanks, guys. But this has been, I can't believe this podcast was about little sisters.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. You can find us over on Twitter at Everything in Pod. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcasts at Everything in Pod. You can send us your anime recommendations at everythinginpod@gmail.com if you so like. And we do not have a My Anime list, but we could be convinced to make one, perhaps.
Yeah. King of the Hill is at the top of that list.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Favorite anime. Also, is King of the Hill an anime? Debate. Comments below.
I'm sorry. It's not even a debate. Of course it is.
Of course. Sorry.
It is.
So sorry. Bobby is my favorite anime protag, okay? Because he would never be weird to a little sister. I believe that wholeheartedly. But thank you guys for listening. Quick shout out across the pond. We have perhaps been convinced to do a supernatural episode in the future, so your notes and thoughts will be read on that episode.
Yeah.
But thanks for the email.
Shout out to Adam. Thanks for sending that in. It's very fun.
Yeah. And your thoughts. Feel free to send your thoughts, all caps. Or THOTS also. Send those thoughts.
After the episode
send me
we
your
just
thoughts.
did.
Okay, bye.
Wait, we just told our audience to partake in human trafficking. Hold on.
No, not. Wait, no, don't send real people. I was gonna say like pictures, but damn, Colin,
you're the one who.
Do we need to drop a PO box so that people can send people?
Yeah, send people. We'll just we can get them help. I guess I don't fucking know.
Okay,
anything I say on this subject, you're just gonna dig the hole deeper. I'm just gonna stop.
I don't think you understand. I've already faded us out.
Oh my god,
we're already faded out.